Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of the short story Forest written by Ambai. Ambai's original name is C.S. Lakshmi and she is one of the greatest Indian feminist writer and she writes under the pseudonym Ambai. In 1962, she published her first book Nandi Malai Charlile. She also received Vodafone Crossword Award for In a Forest a Deer in 2006. This was later translated into English by Lakshmi Armstrong. In this short story, Forest, she shows Chenduru on one side and Ramayana Sita on another side. It is actually the life story of Sita from the perspective of C.S. Lakshmi. It has the alternative story of Chenduru, who is considered as Sita in the contemporary world, and the epic Sita comes in this story and rewrites her own story. The entire story of Forest is told by Chenduru, who is the protagonist of the story. Chenduru is refused partnership in her husband's firm in spite of her contribution, so she decides to spend a few days in the forest alone, which worries her family. Chenduru always thinks of living in the forest. Should be like the forest in Agananuru. This is because she wants to leave the traffic noise and electronic gadgets. She is actually a middle-aged woman and her husband's name is Thirumalai. He has a brother called Annamalai and she has a son and a daughter. Whenever she expresses a desire to go to the forest, many of them ask her whether she is going on Vanaprastha, which is a life after retirement, because she is still in a middle age and not reached the age of retirement. Chenduru was born in a coffee estate. Her father was working in a coffee estate as an accountant. Her mother got labor pain in the estate and on the way to the hospital her pain increased. So the car was stopped and Chenduru was born under the tree. But her father always teases her by telling that she is not his real daughter and that he found her under a tree. When she was young, she used to straightaway go to her mother with tears and ask whether it is true. Even her mother teased her by telling that her father was like Janaka Raja, who had taken her from the tree and had grown her as his daughter. But as she grew up, she stopped crying. She started telling them that even Buddha was also born under the Bodhi tree. One day, Chenduru tells her husband Thirumalai that she wishes to live in the forest for a few days. She married Thirumalai and has supported him in his business. But due to some unavoidable situations, she was forced to leave his business. Thirumalai thinks that it is only because of this she wants to go and stay in the forest. He advises her that women can go to forest only with a husband at the time of Vanaprasadam and men are the ones who go to forest and that also only to destroy the demons and for hunting. Women like Sita went to forest only because of her husband and women should go to forest during the situation of Nala and Damayanti. Wives of saints only lived in the forest. If only women go to forest alone, they will face the problem of Menaka. And according to him, it is a punishment for women to live in the forest. But Chenduru writes a letter to the forest department and gets permission to stay in the forest for a few days in the guest house. After a very lengthy argument, Thirumalai allows her to go. He tells her to go with Annamalai, his brother, in the car to the bus stand. From there, she goes to the forest. Chenduru brings notebook, pen, pencil, eraser and sharpener so that she can pen her thoughts while she is in the forest. Now the story enters into Ramayana Sita's life. Sita and Lakshman are going in chariot. She tells to Lakshman that the breeze of the forest is the gift of her parents. But Lakshman does not say anything. After a few miles, Lakshman stops the chariot and gets down from it. He informs Sita that Rama told him to leave Sita in the forest. He further tells her that it is her permanent place. Sita stares at him and thinks that Lakshman knows about his brother's activity very well. Even Lakshman also faced such a situation in his life. She recollects the incident of Indra Kamini and Lakshman. During this incident, Lakshman was forced to prove his purity. Sita says that Rama always doubts others' purity and puts them to test to prove themselves. He also cross-questions the witnesses. Actually, when she came back from Ashokavanam, he inquired the sun god Surya about her purity and Surya said that He had seen her throughout the day and she is pure. But Rama thought that Surya will not be there during the night time. Therefore, he called Chandra and asked Chandra to test for her purity. And Chandra said that he had seen Sita throughout the night and all the nights he can vouch for her purity. But again he thought that Chandra will not be available during Amavasya. Therefore, he uses fire to test her purity. And therefore, Sita feels that Rama always tests one purity. And she strongly feels that she is now punished because of Indra Kamini, a Gandharva girl from the assembly of Indra. The story goes like this. Indra Kamini fell for Lakshmana's looks and valor but failed to arouse Lakshmana's lust. In order to take revenge, she scattered her broken bangles and earrings in his bed to defame him. While cleaning his room, Sita finds the broken bangles and earrings and informs Rama. Rama immediately calls the headman of the village and makes all the women in the village to assemble there, and all the women are made to wear the bangles and earrings. But these bangles and earrings does not fit anyone. Rama inquires whether all the women were checked. The headman tells him that all women except Sita were checked. Immediately Sita is summoned to him and she is asked to try the bangles and the earrings. Unfortunately, they suit exactly for Sita, and this was what was planned by Indra Kamini. On seeing this, Lakshmana jumps into fire to prove his purity. Sita recollects this incident, requests Ramana to see her bulging stomach indicating that she is pregnant and inform the same to Rama, for she is tired of proving her innocence. In spite of all this, Lakshman leaves Sita from the forest and goes back to Rama. Sita starts writing her story. Suddenly she notices sage Valmiki standing in front of her. Sita finishes the last sentence on the palm leaf. Valmiki asks about her writing and she says that it is Sita's Ayanam, that is her life story. He says that it is not the Sita in Ramayana which he wrote. And for this, Sita says that Valmiki is the poet of the king's court and therefore he will write only according to them. But in this Sita's Ayanam, Sita has written what she has experienced in her life. And she said that she is going to launch a story in the minds of all the forest dwellers. Now the story is shifted to forest guest house. Chinduru is allotted a medium-sized room. It has a table, chair, a small bed and a bathroom. A window is right in front of the table and she likes the window because it opens to the wide forest. She thinks how she travelled in bus. When she got down from the bus, her suitcase was carried by a small boy. When the window was opened in her room, the forest was in front of her. It was opened by the attendant. She kept the camel yellow notebook on the table. Now the window is closed. She sleeps peacefully. The story now again moves to Ramayana Sita. There was a pond filled with lotuses. Each flower has 1,000 petals. It is in Sri Lanka. Ravana crosses the pond with the soldiers. He was attracted towards the flowers. He wanted to pluck at least one flower. So he waded into the pond. Suddenly he heard a child's voice saying, "I will kill you." But he could not see anyone. At first he thought it was the voice of the Maina bird. So he plucked all the flowers and gave it to his wife Mandodari and told her everything. All the flowers were kept on the floor. Mandodari opened all the flowers one by one. She saw a girl baby in the last flower. The child said clearly, "I will kill Ravana." The next moment, the baby smiles and makes baby noises. Mandodari is terrified. With 2 maidservants in attendance, she places the baby in a bamboo box and walks to the seashore and lets it float in the sea. The bamboo basket with the baby finally reached the shore of Janaka kingdom. A person opened the basket and finding the baby, he handed it over to Janaka. Janaka names the baby Sita. Thus Sita came into being in touch with the flower, earth and water. According to the writer, Rama gave grief to the living creatures as soon as he was born. After the birth of Rama, Kosalai, Rama's mother, wishes to celebrate the birth of a son by serving venison, which is the meat from a deer, at the feast. In the forest, there were 2 deers. One was a buck and another one was a doe. The doe said to the buck that she heard the noise of the hunters and asked the buck to leave from there. But before they could leave, the hunters came. The doe requested them to kill her and leave the doe. But the hunters killed the buck for its delicious flesh, sparing the doe. The doe ran to Kosalai and pleaded and asked at least to give back the skin of her dear partner. To reduce her pain by looking at it, she can live her remaining life. But Kosalai said, I intend to make a beautiful Ganjira, and she wanted to give that to her son. Whenever Rama tapped and played with the Ganjira, the doe said to herself that, Kosalai, one day you too will suffer this pain of loss. Thus the story was written by Sita on the palm leaf tied together and kept aside. Sita saw her two sons listening to the story of Dasaratha Putra Kameshwara Yagna told by Valmiki. Dasaratha performed this Yagna for children. Thus were born Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Satrughna. Here, Chandru wakes up early in the morning, has tea and walks to eastward to welcome the sun. She enjoys the beauty of the forest. She finds a stream. She sees a peacock dancing. She weeps, asking the peacock about her goal and confusion to understand her quest. She meets three women who are living in the forest. They are Meenabai, Rukmanibai and Savitabai. They share their food and rest for a while. Later, she walks towards the guest house. Here, she recollects her past. She had gone to Mumbai for higher studies. She stayed in a Periyamma's house. It is there she met Thirumalai. Thirumalai owns his father's business in Vimudi and Kungumam. His trademark is peacock as suggested by a saint. She is impressed by his personality and casual talk. She compares his physics to the great mountains. She tells her father about her love for him. Now the story again moves back to Ramayana Sita. Sita has seen the huge heavy bow, that is the Shiva's bow, from her childhood. She is well versed about the forest. She knows the mountains, springs, ponds, lotus, trees, streams, deer, beehives. One day, while paving the courtyard with cow dung, she held the bow in one hand. Janaka saw Sita holding Shiva Dhanush. It is a Dhanush which no one can carry, but she has carried it in her single hand. So he decides that only a man who can bend and break it shall be fit to marry her. One day, Sita met Rama in the orchard. On seeing her, he approached her and embraced her. Sita was confused but did not stop him. This she confessed to her mother and said that she met Rama in the orchard and that he embraced her. Her mother was sure that she would marry him, and as she assumed, Rama broke the vow and married her. Presently in the forest it is evening. Lava and Kusha arrive with bow in their hands, and they say that they are attracted by the beauty of the deer. But Sita advises them not to harm it. The story now comes back to Chandru. Thirumalai calls Chandru over the phone and informs that their son Karmegam is going to Canada. They also have a daughter named Valli, and he says that they are all missing her and begs her to return from the forest, but Chandru refuses. He calls her Pisasu, which means a beautiful temptress. Chandru recollects her past and her contribution in the business. She began to walk early when she was only 10 months old, and when she was 11 months, she walked across to Shivaji Park by herself. She remembers the ant hill and the bite of the ants. When her Amma and Appa died, on both occasions she walked till her feet were swollen. Chandru tells about the patriarchal domination as she decided to her venture to the forest. She feels that it is only men who are allowed to have vision and quest, not women. She is expected to repeatedly chant God's name to attain mukti at once. Her wish is to attain expansion that has no boundaries. Thirumalai's father tells about Dasaratha's promise to fulfill Kaikeyi's wish. Now, Thirumalai's mother wants to be taken to Kodaikanal, Ooty, Kutralam, and it is a duty to fulfill her wishes. Chandru has supported him in his business. Since she has done MSc in textiles, she helps him in his business, and they gradually expand their business to masala powders, silk materials, ready-made garments and leather goods. And they together have struggled for 14 years. Here we should remember that in Ramayana, Sita and Rama also stayed in the forest for 14 years. After this, their business has reached Canada, and Thirumalai wanted her to be his business partner. But other partners did not agree to it, so he told her to distance herself from business dealings. The story goes back to Rama and Sita. One day, Sita sees her reflection in the pond for the first time. She tells Rama that moon and bees are there in the pond. Rama clarifies that the moon is a face and bees are a long curly hair. Sita had spent most of her time in the forest during her childhood. It was the refuge of her and her husband. She was imprisoned in it. Now it is a sanctuary. Sita thinks only of Rama in forest prison. After war, Rama sent Hanuman to ask Sita to adorn herself with rich garments. But Sita preferred to wear what she had in Ashokavanam, which was not accepted by Rama. Sita wants to take the big stone where she sat under the tree to grind sandalwood paste in Ayodhya. But Jambavan said she could not take it as the place was gifted to Vibhishana. She was ashamed of her request. She has always given up the comforts of the royalty but has earned for deer, fruits, and flowers, which only brings her trouble. Sita is taken to the battlefield from Ashokavanam after long imprisonment. It is full of bloodshed and dead people. She soon realizes that adornment is not for Rama but to show how she was a happy, redeemed woman. The battle was fought only to protect his honor and not to rescue her. She stood in the war field in front of Rama, and Rama tells her that she is free to go in any direction with anyone: Lakshmana, Bharata, Vibhishana, Sugriva. She tells Lakshmana to light the fire to prove her chastity. Sita feels heavy after writing her experience. She finds Valmika telling her sons about the story of Ahalya. He tells how her heart melted from being a stone after worshipping Rama's feet. Presently, Chandru accompanies Rukmani Bai and Savita Bai to bring water. They see moon's reflection in the water. She brings those women to the guest house. They prepare delicious food for her, in which palm toddy is also included. Chandru memories takes her to Murud Jangra fort. Suddenly she hears music in the forest. Savitabai tells her that the music comes from the other side of the waterfalls from the ashram of Sufi Baba. Shanti was Rama's sister. One day she asked Sita to draw Ravan. Unexpectedly, Rama entered and Sita tried to hide the drawing. Later, Sita's final journey in the chariot happened. Sita was thinking about her sons. They came for meal. While they were eating, Rama entered. Sita introduced him to her sons that he is their father. Her sons were happy. After a nap, Chandru goes towards the waterfalls. She sees a man around 60 years. He speaks to her in Hindi. We should remember that she studied higher studies in Mumbai. And this man talks about life philosophy, about his mother and the music. Chandru later leaves. Rama asks Sita to come back, but she refuses and walks deep into the forest. She sees a hut and enters, and she is shocked to find Raman alive there. Raman tells her that he was allowed to leave with one of his soldiers alive by Rama. He also says that he was the one who did the yagam for success for Rama on the request of Rama and blessed Rama for success. From then, he has been living there expecting her to come to him. Sita wants to learn Veena. Ravan tried to keep the Veena on her lap. She asked him to keep it on the ground. Later, she laid the Veena on her lap and started to play, and the story ends here. It's a very beautiful story written by Ambai. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.